it's only going on a podcast anyway. So if you're happy, we're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I can see you both, but mine's not working for some reason.
Dodgy camera, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh. Anyway, never mind, never mind. Well, thank you both. Melanie Sykes. You ever called me? I know. I
Never.
feel like I'm reprimanding you by saying that. Anyway, Mel Sykes, who won Spine Challenger, and Robin Leathley, thank you for joining me as a guest host.
You're
Thought we'd
welcome.
mix things up a little bit. We'll have a go at Mel first, and then we'll turn our attention onto you, Robin. Hear a bit more about you.
Oh, great.
Uh, anyway, I mean, yeah, congratulations, Mel. How are you feeling now?
Oh, I'm all right actually. Yeah, thanks. My feet were in a bit of a state, as you saw from the photo, later on in race, but by next day they'd all dried up and yeah, good. It felt pretty good actually to say it were a 33 hours slog.
Yeah.
But
The slog that was going to be a very relaxed. I'm not going to go for this, and you ended up winning it.
oh, second.
Second this year.
Second?
Yeah, second this year. Yeah,
First the year before.
yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. I've got them mixed up. It's because I was reading your report for me from last year actually, and I forgot that's yeah.
The
Oh,
last year as
any
well.
second. Robin, I don't know if you know that Mel had brain surgery last year.
I did not know that, no.
I
That
mean,
makes it slightly more impressive.
literally at the end of last year. I mean, I mean, I tell us a
Wow.
bit more. When did you actually have that done, Mel, and what's your recovery been?
That was so middle of October, I think 20th of October when I had the off.
Okay.
Came out of hospital last last week of October. Moved in with my parents so they could feed me toast and bring me tea for 8 weeks while I were recovering, and then yeah, managed to get back out walking like end of December-ish. Started doing some running middle of Jan, and then all of a sudden back
Yeah.
on the spine.
Because you couldn't resist. I mean, I know you said that after last year it was an itch that you needed to scratch again, wasn't it?
Yeah, just to do it again. Well, the original plan, because I've entered the full one for winter, the original plan was to do the Challenger North in
Mm.
June and
Mm.
then build up to the full winter. But with having the brain off, I went back and did the Challenger South again just to see whether could manage it.
You opted for the
Um,
sensible option.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Even with it being sort of 45 minutes slower, from what I hear of the terrain this year, did that feel more like a better performance than the year before?
It were yeah, it were a bit weird really because I set off slow. I did everyone was taking mick out of me saying that I'd raced it, but I did set off slower about an hour and 10 minutes behind last year's time to Hebden Bridge, and then we just hiked the last bit from Hebden Bridge to the finish. But I think with the first part taking so much slower, we were obviously hiking faster than I was when I ran it last year, which were really weird. But it just shows it's just to do with pace. That was my first 100 miler I'd done last year. So you set off and you're all giddy, and then you just everything goes to pot, done it at about 60 mile. Whereas this year, setting off a little bit slower then meant that we just could keep moving, so we weren't stopping as long. I was with another bloke called Jason, and we just ended up keeping hiking through it, and it ended up being a similar pace to when I'd run it last year, which were really weird. I couldn't get my head around that, but I suppose that's with long distance, isn't it? It's all about pacing.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how do you find running with another person? Is it something you seek out on a long race, or do you like running alone?
No, so normally I would actively avoid getting running with somebody else in a long event. And I've never done it before. I normally don't really speak to people when I'm in a race, which is really weird because I talk to everyone. But yeah, normally I wouldn't. I try not to run with someone because it gets a bit awkward, doesn't it? Sometimes you want to push on a bit, and or you want to stop and have something to eat, and you feel like you're getting dragged along. So, when I did it last year, I spent the whole 33 hours, whatever it was, completely on my own. But it were actually quite nice this year to have some company, especially for the overnight bit as well. And it makes like the navigation a bit easier if you've got somebody else there, because you take turns of like doing your bit for the nav, and so that shit takes off a little bit of brain space as well if somebody else is doing that, and then you're both saying to each other, oh, have you eaten summer? And then so it just prompts you to eat a little bit more. So I think one, my fueling was a lot better, and two, it just was mentally easier because somebody else was sharing the nav. I had some really bad hallucinations last year for the last 25 miles, and this year not one. Didn't see any animals, didn't see any little gnomes that I was seeing last year. No.
Are you
So
sure there was someone running with you?
yeah, there might not have been. Jason were just a hallucination all the way.
That's great. I noticed that you're a podiatrist and you said you had foot issues.
Yeah.
Were you able to look after your feet better because of your experience, or does that not help?
It didn't really help. It were bad foot. So I run in the Nike Pegasus Gore-Tex normally, and that's what I always use through the summer, even when it's dry. But the problem with this summer race was that the bogs were so deep that once the water had got into my trainers, it can't get back out of those Gore-Tex ones, can it? So I just had 33 hours of my feet basically being in 2 foot baths, and they were just getting worse and worse. But the photo that I took of my foot that I put online, I think we were only 2.5 mile from end, so it were only that last 2.5 mile when it got really bad. But it was just poor trainer choice.
Yeah, do you know what? That's something I actually actively discourage selling shoes is Gore-Tex.
Mm,
Boots are different. And if you're walking, but I do think running in Gore-Tex shoes is fatal. Yeah, because it goes in and it can't come out.
no.
But no, I mean, what do you think you'll take forward then for the big one?
Well, I got some Innovate Trail flies, obviously non-Gore-Tex ones. So I ran in them. I did a Nav4 event at the weekend, and I ran in those for that, and they were great. I'm a little bit undecided. I've been listening to some other podcasts about waterproof socks. Some people love them, some people don't like them. Some people have said just stick with normal socks and change them often and keep lubing up your toes. So just a bit of trial and error, I think. What do you guys use?
I used the Solomon Thundercross on my last ultra. They were pretty good
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Oh,
But I haven't used waterproof socks.
Mm-hmm.
no. In winter I use neoprene with a merino liner. Uh,
All right.
uh, I go for warmth over anything else. My feet don't seem to, I mean, I haven't done those distances, but um, my feet don't seem to mind being wet so long as they're warm. And I put shed loads of body glide on them. So yeah, to stop friction, but that works for me in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were building up your training pretty much from scratch, it looks like you did quite a lot of cycling. Do you rely on cross training when you build to something? Is it just something you like to do?
Oh yeah, I love cycling. I hadn't done as much this year because after one of the main things after my op was I had double vision, and my I got something called nystagmus. So like when you look to the side, your eyeballs shake and try and pull back to the center. So I couldn't
Right.
really cycle with that. just because of being on the roads, it were a little bit dangerous, but that's gradually getting better the longer my recovery goes. So, but it's the blooming weather. It just hasn't been cycling weather, has it?
No.
Horrible, absolutely horrible. So I'm a bit of a fair weather. I used to go out in any different weather, but I'm a bit of a fair weather cyclist at the moment. So, but yeah, cycling, building up to hopefully the winter one, there'll be more cycling involved in that because once you get past a certain age, you can't do so many miles a week, can you, without something breaking, something falling off.
Oh, you young whippersnapper. But it's better for you anyway, isn't it? Doing the cross training, and it's I mean, there's no doubt to my mind it's always made you an incredibly strong runner. Doing all that cycling. Do you think you'll go back and do another Ironman?
I'd like to. It's just the swim. The swim's horrible in it.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get to a pool often, isn't it?
Yeah. And I
No,
think the thing with the swim is when I was training for one before, if I swam twice a month or if I swam 10 times a month, I never seemed to get any quicker.
Mm.
I think because it's so much technique based, I think you've got to have done it since you were younger to have the good swimmers. They've just done it all their lives, haven't they?
Yeah.
And got the technique down, so you can do the distance, but I just don't think you can really get much quicker as when you start to swim as you get older. I'm not sure. Might just be me.
I remember watching a video with Ross Edgley trying to teach two people swimming, and they were just kicking like mad. And I was thinking, yes, I'll be a good swimmer because I've got strong legs. But no, it's all technique, all arms. Kicking
Yeah.
does literally nothing. I was very disappointed to find that out.
have you done one triathlon of any sort, Robin?
No, and I don't think I will because of the swimming.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's probably what puts most runners off anyway. I don't know, does it? I would imagine, actually thinking about it, that if you are a strong swimmer, it must give you an edge because you're then leading the pack going
Mm.
out into the run and the bike, aren't you?
Yeah.
Or the bike. Yeah, the bike's the middle bit.
Yeah, the bike's a little bit.
Um, what do you think? I mean, you've done loads of races. Obviously, you did Pennine. Sorry, I say obviously, but you did do the Pennine 39 this weekend, just gone, and
Yeah.
that's a very different animal to the spine. You've done you went off and did the West Highland Way by yourself. What appeals to you about all these different events, and what's your favorite sort of what would you prefer to do given the choice?
Uh, do you know what? Just a bit of everything. I like doing them all because the one the Nav4 one at the weekend, you got on a bus to the start. There was no like go. Everyone just kind of gets off, and then you're wandering about, and then you just all set off in just like a little stream of folk, and you get to finish at the YHA, but there's no finish line there. They're just like, hiya, here's your soup. So like, there's no official timing, note like that. It's very relaxed. I like doing them. Everyone's quite spread out, but then I also like like Lakeland, the Lakeland 50 and 100 and the Spine that are the bigger events as well. I think it's just good to do a little bit of everything. And
Do you like the competitiveness of it?
uh, I'm not very competitive, um, which I think is probably a bad thing. Like generally with other people, I'm not very competitive. If I'm in a event and I'll hold a gate open for like loads of people to go through. Oh yeah, come on everyone. Like I'm not competitive in that way. I like to do it to challenge myself, but
Mm.
position wise, it don't. I just do them because I like doing them.
But it must feel good. I mean, when you cross the line in a podium, first or second, it's got to feel amazing.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. But again, it don't matter if you're one of them or you're 10th or 20th or whatever, does it? If you a lot of these, especially the longer distances, it's just about finishing, isn't it? It's the mental aspect of it and like the challenges. Have you eaten enough? Have you slept? Do you need to sleep? Do you need to change your socks? It's all that sort of thing that's more of a challenge than getting
Yeah, your
top 3 or whatever.
personal admin is key, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's where a lot of people fall down in it with the longer races. There's some really, really good fit athletes and some really good runners, but they just can't seem to get the hang of the longer events. Something else goes wrong, or yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Have
How's
you?
your, oh, go on.
No, I was going to ask you, Robin, if you know what you got your eyes set on anything like the spine or
I was looking at the Spine Challenger and I got a little bit put off by the price. I don't know. It's just a bit of a squeeze for me, that one. Uh,
yeah.
but I'm definitely looking at first 100 miler next year.
Okay.
I am admittedly hoping that I get into the evil beast that is UTMB. I know the dreaded
Yeah,
words.
which one? The full.
The main one, yeah,
Okay.
106 miles. But I started this dream before they became the evil thing. So I'm
No, but
reluctant
they're
for
not
that.
really. Yeah, I mean it's a again, I like to sit on the fence on this. I don't think they're evil. I think they've had some very bad press. I
Hmm.
think yes, maybe some decisions could have been made slightly more tactfully. But at the end of the day, I think people are having to readjust to the concept of ultra running becoming commercial.
Hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people who don't like it are struggling with. And I think there's room for everyone, actually. Um,
With your background in Ironman, Melanie, is that easier for you to accept?
mm,
Um, I don't, I don't really know. I think the thing is, for that sort of event to run, there's got to be some commercialization of it because they've got to get some money in from somewhere. I know the entry fee obviously pays for a high percentage of it, but people want more coverage online now. A lot of people want a live feed of these big races. They
Hmm.
want up-to-date social media. They want the goods when they go there. They want the medal. They want everything to prove that they've been there. So that money from that has got to come from somewhere. And I've looked even at putting little local events on and thought about organising races, and there's a lot more expense that goes into it than people realise. So I think
There is,
I
yeah.
know a lot they get a stick for the sponsors that they've used, but there won't be a lot of companies worldwide that would put that amount of money in to be able to keep those events going. So it's a bit swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah. I've actually organised a local road race and a local fell race, and you're right, there is more than you'd think that you have to
Mm.
put down to
and
get.
a lot of outlay that you have to do in advance before you get anything in, presumably.
Mm. Yeah, like this year we had to pay for a road closure as well, which is an extra expense that I didn't want to have to do. But if you want to make the route a little bit more exciting and ultimately more attractive, then you've got to fork out for it and just nudge the price up. And I imagine the bigger it gets, the more the price goes up, and then
Yeah.
the rest is history.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, gosh, you have to pay for a road closure, do you?
You do now, unfortunately. Yeah, it was free a couple of years ago.
Oh, oh, there's always new ways of making money, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with stuff like the live tracking now, I know dot watching's almost become a hobby in itself for a lot of people for some of the big races. But putting the trackers on, getting either open tracking in this country or whatever it is in other countries to be able to follow the race and have the website up to date enough to be able to, oh, that's extra cost, isn't it? And people want that. That's what they want. They want to be able to follow their runners, and they want the
Mhm.
competition. A lot of people like watching trail running as much as they like running it.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, obsessive.
Mm,
I think
yeah, yeah.
I think that will probably end up being one of the sort of commercial saviors of ultra running, actually. The fact that events like the Spine and UTMB and Western States with the with the live video with the live video feed, they've made it accessible for viewing and for watching and for following, which is key for you know, commercialization, because it's not, if it was just the runners and their families, no one would bother really, would they?
Yeah.
So you've got the winter spine coming up. How are you feeling about
I don't really know. Excited, really excited to have a go. But every time I do a little bit more of the Pennine Way I haven't done, this event this weekend went up Cauldron Snout and then up over Crossfell. Bloody hell, that were a slog. And now I think that's going to be like 160-mile into race, and you're also going to have, obviously there's a massive kit list for it. So you're going to have to carry all the kit as well. So I just had my 12-litre Solomon pack on at the weekend, and I thought even with that on, it's hard work to sort of balance yourself when you're scrambling up, isn't it?
that? Yeah, absolutely.
So every time I do a little bit more, I just think, oh, yeah. But that's part of it, isn't it? That's why so many DNF. So I'm just going to try and do as much as I can do to make sure that I'm as well prepared as possible. But there's obviously stuff that you can't control, weather for one.
Yeah.
Well,
But I think that's all you can do, isn't it?
it's what makes it the race it is, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You only have to look at the men's field from this year, how many of the top runners actually set off, and it were going to be such a good race, wasn't it? And they're all saying, oh, so and so, so and so, and then they just end up dropping like flies. And they're people that have done it year in, year out. They've got all the good kit, they've got like the best kit, the lightest kit, but it don't matter, does it?
Well, I would I'll interject there and with a comment from one of my friends and clients, Joe Faulkner, who would say it's not about the light kit. You need the heavy kit, not the light kit.
Mm.
The light kit just won't cut it. And especially, you know, for winter races, you need the best kit, not the lightest.
Yeah.
What would you say was your most sort of useful bit of kit on the, I mean, I know it was the summer spine, but is there anything you'll take into the winter that you don't think you could do without?
Well, the jacket that I've had is the Montane Spine, funnily enough, that I've had for a couple of years. But even that, like when it's really, really raining, and even just things like round the wrist of that, it lets a bit of water in, which is fine when you know you're only going 4 or 5 hours. But when you're going to be going 5 days, it's not going to be good enough, is it? So I don't think anything that I used on the summer one, it's going to be a whole new everything for the winter. Gloves. I've just ordered some. People keep mentioning the deck shell waterproof socks. Have you heard of those?
Yeah.
That's the one that people seem to.
Yeah.
How many separate question, how many pairs of socks did you take on the summer spine, and how many do you think you'll take on the winter?
The summer one, I had one pair Hebden Bridge checkpoint. That's where I changed them, and then you've got to carry a pair in your pack as well. So
Right.
that's all I had for the summer one.
Wow.
Yeah, I just changed them once at Hebden Bridge. And then I did put one of the ones, I can't remember which foot it was now. Oh, my right foot. I cut between the toes, so when I sat down about 2.5 miles from the finish, that were covered in blood. So I did swap the sock to a clean sock just for the last 2.5 miles, just because it were really covered in blood. But for the winter, I've seen people have, like, they carry loads of pairs with them, and then they have a pair for each checkpoint. So I think I'm going to have to stock up. But these deck shell ones are like 45 quid a pair. So if you have one of them for each aid station, it's going to be a fair payout just in blooming socks.
Hey, if it gets you to the finish.
Well, but if they're waterproof, you shouldn't have to be changing them as often as.
No, you wouldn't have thought so.
If they're not. Maybe yeah, I don't know, if you wear a liner, maybe you could just switch out the liner.
Yeah, that'd probably work, wouldn't it? But then the thing is, with so these innovates that I've bought are a size 6.5, But then if I've got a liner and the waterproof socks on, they're probably going to need a size bigger of those, aren't you? And then I've seen people that say they have a full size and a half bigger of shoe from halfway to the finish because your feet have swollen that much. So then you need a different trainer again for the second part.
That's the type of research you need to do, though, isn't it? If you're gonna take it seriously, which I can't,
Yeah.
you can't not do, can you? If you're gonna do 268 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, thinking of, I'd have never even thought to have another pair of trainers a full size and a half bigger, but the more I read into it and listen to people's podcasts, then they say, oh, that's one of the main things
That's what
that they
that's what
needed.
Sam did, wasn't it? He I think he came into the shop and bought a pair that were like, size and a half up.
Oh, did he?
With that specifically in mind. But I don't know. Yeah, it's so hard because you're having to try and predict what you might need. Which of course ends up meaning that you carry the kitchen sink.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got your big drop bag. I think you're allowed 20 kilos in the drop bag, but obviously each aid station you've got to then pick up your full fuel from there to the next station. So even your bag of fueling stuff's gone away however much, isn't it, each time you pick that up at an aid station. So
your drop bag only goes to, was it Hebden Bridge, and there's one other place, isn't there, for the drop bag? There's not that
no,
many.
I think on the full there's maybe 6, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 pairs of socks.
Robin's going, no.
No. I know.
I was trying to quickly Google it.
Yeah, have a Google and see.
On your recovery, are you still eating a load? I know I just can't stop after I've done a long race.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, sometimes I think immediately after, when you finish and there's always loads of food at the finish, but you can never really eat, can you? Because if you've been fueling and eating during it, and then you want something savoury normally as well, because you've just been eating it, especially that last bit, you're just trying to cram any old sugar in. I'd had like 2 bags of Tamfastic, so my tongue were killing just from all the sugar that's on them, because they're so sour, aren't they?
Yeah.
So then when I finished, I didn't really want anything to eat straight away, and then they brought me chocolate cake and custard, which were really nice. But in the few days after that, like the hunger doesn't seem to hit you, does it, till a couple of days later, I think.
No. After the UTS 100K, they had this really like watered down macaroni cheese, and can't say much of that.
Oh no.
No, yeah, it takes me a while as well.
Yeah,
what time did you finish that then?
About, I think it was 1:30 in the morning.
Ah, right.
Yeah, it was about 20 and a half hours overall, I think it took.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, because
That's good going, yeah.
That's tough. Did you enjoy it?
Yes. But I wouldn't do it again.
Now you you've done it.
The guy I was running with at the time asked me, and I'll never forget it. It was like, how much would someone have to pay you to do another lap? Like when we were about 10K from the finish, and I remember thinking that 500,000 wasn't enough. So maybe I didn't enjoy it that much.
Type 2. Definitely.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But here you are planning your 100-miler. So will it be a mountainy one again?
If I don't get into UTMB, I'm looking at Lakeland 100, I think. So that's not actually as mountainy, really, is it? It's all passes, more runnable, I've heard. Anyway, I haven't it.
The second half is runnable. The first half is not,
isn't it?
Is harder.
Yeah.
Well, Mel, have you done the 100? You haven't?
I'm doing it actually, 4 weeks.
You are doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great.
I know. Well, Robin,
Yeah.
would you like my place? Because I've got a place, but I can't run, obviously. So you can have mine if you like.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a fast time.
Oh, are you looking forward to it, Mel?
Yeah, I am actually. I think there's quite a lot of people I know doing it this time, so I think I'm just looking forward to going up there for the weekend.
Yeah, it's a good get together as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's just so everyone's just so happy for that weekend, aren't they? And
I'm
it's
going to
just
turn
like
my
it.
phone off. I'm going to be curmudgeon, massive FOMO and
Oh no.
miserable.
You should come up anyway. You should just come up and hang out.
Yeah, maybe it depends. I might this is the benefit of having a partner who doesn't run, actually, is that he'll drag me off and do something completely random. So I won't be forced. I'm not in the world anymore, so it won't be forced down my throat. But maybe, yeah, I mean, if we're not doing anything, I might do, actually.
Yeah,
Might
because it
do.
is just a whole good weekend, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's a great weekend. I would
I've
definitely
heard
go.
that the start's incredible. With
It
this.
is actually, and it is. I'm sort of quite, grumpy and cynical, and I thought, oh, this is, this nostalgic tripe, but actually, I had a lump in my throat at the start, a few years ago, and it does make you go, oh my God, I'm starting. This is so exciting.
Yeah, that's really drawing me in that from what I've heard. Yeah.
And
Um,
it's a great atmosphere. I mean, whatever his recipe is, it works really well. And actually it's big without being sort of overt, if you get what I mean. It's really successful, but it's still, really beneficial for the local community, and everyone loves it, and it's not, yeah, it hasn't sort of outgrown its boots like some events do, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and then lose their, what made them special in the first place.
Mm. The only thing I am thinking with it, I know this year he's got more than ever entered into the 50 and more. I think the 100 even sold out this year, which it hasn't done any
Oh,
year
really?
before. So it's just, like I
wow.
say, is it going to be teetering on the edge of getting too
Yeah.
big? It's a fine line, isn't it, I suppose, because there's
Mm.
that many people that want to do them, and then they obviously need the money to keep the entries going. But like I say, you've seen it happen with some other races, that it just becomes there's too many people on.
Mm.
When I did that UTS, the 50k last year, I said I'd never do that again, just because the amount of people on
Yeah.
I think there were 1200, were there maybe,
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
on the
extremely
50k.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you did that one
Mm.
as well, didn't you, Robin?
Yeah, it's super hot.
Mm.
Oh, did you do it last year as well?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
50K, yeah, and then there's a
yeah.
100K this year, yeah. So technically
Yeah.
I should do the 100 miler, but I'm not that crazy.
What did you think of the 50k last year then?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Did you
Um,
get water? And I know there was some things about water running out at some of the checkpoints.
yeah, I think that happened a little bit further back in the packs. It happened at 100K as well this year. Some people were waiting, were told they had to wait up to 55 minutes for water to be brought to a
You're
water
kidding.
checkpoint. Yeah, which is obscene, really, isn't it? Especially if it was
Yeah.
after the really long section where you were from, I can't remember, Glandina all the way over to Capel Curig. There was
Yeah.
like another section 5 miles before that. Anyway, yeah, really long time.
It's
So
a
they
big,
either they had a decision to make. Do you go 5 more miles to the next checkpoint where there is water, or do you wait? But you shouldn't have
Mm.
to make that decision. So yeah, that was a race director's nightmare.
Oh.
Yeah.
particularly for yes, an already mentioned run
Yeah. Yeah.
event.
Back-to-back years. No, you do not want that. So yeah,
Mm.
I feel for them in that situation. But yes, they shouldn't make the same mistake twice. It should be unmakeable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Interesting.
So 100 miler, well, 108 miles mid-June, and then 100 miles at the end of July. Do you often string together massive races now?
No, it's been completely accidental. um, Only because I entered the Lakeland ballot first,
Mm.
and then got into that, and because the 100 has now become so popular, I just thought I'm going to have to do it while I've managed to get a place. And then ended up with the spine one just through changing, obviously, from the down from the Challenger North. So I've ended up with two pretty close together. But it's good. Like, you've got to try and see if you can do it, and if you can't do it, not to do it again. But I do feel pretty recovered from the Challenger South. I think definitely walking the second half with Jason, it was more of just an endurance. Like, my legs didn't feel tired or afterwards, so I knew that I hadn't pushed too hard on that. So it'll be interesting to see how we fare at the Lakeland, the Nav4 event this weekend just gone. I was fine running on the flat, but as soon as it went uphill, I was just going backwards then. But like, there's another 4 weeks to go, so I'll see. I'm not going to do so much over the next 4 weeks, and just see whether you like carry your endurance through. You must carry some endurance through, because even from having my brain operation in October, I haven't had that much amount of time to do training even for the spine. So some of that endurance must have been what you've carried over from last year. So I think as you get older, it obviously takes a little bit longer to lose endurance. You don't have any speed, but but the endurance obviously stays a bit longer, I think. There must be some
It
research into it,
definitely
I'm not
does.
sure.
It definitely does. Because I've sort of gradually lost my fitness, but it was slow. So long as I kept doing something, it was really only when I was forced to stop running in November that my fitness fell off the cliff. But although it was a gradual decline, I would say, even not doing much at all, I was still able to go out and do, like last year I did that Pendle Way in the, not in the day, but in the night, 30 miles. And I've really done so little. I think it's really interesting what your body can do and what it's sort of conditioned to doing, and how it does. I think it definitely remembers. And I think you would definitely have held that fitness over from last year without doubt.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
So just straight into a 4-week taper then.
Yeah. Well, after the spine, so I didn't run at all for 2 weeks after the Challenger. Went to Italy for a week and just ate pasta and pizza for a week, and then so I had 2 weeks off completely, and then did the Nav4 this weekend just gone. And that, like I said, nothing on the hills, but could potter along on the flat all right. And so yeah, it'd be interesting, like a little bit of an experiment.
What do you think it'll be like, sort of going through for 6 days? I mean, the how will you manage your sleep, or not, or lack of?
at for winter. Yeah, I don't know. I did the aid station at Hawes for the winter one this time just gone, and that made me think not to try and sleep at the aid stations. So Danielle, a girl that I know that did it in winter, she tended to sleep in the like public toilets or in churches rather than at the aid stations, because there was such a buzz at the aid station. And in the YHA at Hawes, you basically, even though the bunks and the rooms are separate, you can hear everything that goes on, and there's a lot of buzz downstairs, people in and out of showers. So I think my tactic will be to try and sleep in some of the public toilets and in some of the churches rather than at the aid stations, to see whether you get a bit more rest. But
that brings with it its own challenges of having to dig out maybe your sleeping bag, take your shoes off, and sort of be, again, it's back to your sort of personal admin, isn't it? It's sort of being deliberate in your actions, that right, I'm going to sleep here, so that means this sort of set routine of take my sleeping bag out, or take my shoes off, or eat first or eat after.
And whether your brain will work enough to do that, because when you do get to an aid station, at least there's volunteers saying, I'll take your shoes off, pack your bag up, go to sleep, wake up. like they're directing you, eat this, aren't they? But
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
when you're in a public toilet with your brain a complete mush after 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is just it. I know. I don't think I would do something really stupid. I know I would. But actually, when I talked to Sophie Power the other week, she had a tip that I thought was brilliant. But although she was only doing very short power naps, she said she took a caffeine gel before closing her eyes for like a 10-20 minute nap.
All
And it
right.
takes that long to sort of come into effect, so that she was tired enough to go to sleep, but then when that nap was finished, the caffeine gel sort of kicked in, and so she had the sort of, I imagine, the dual effect of A, the caffeine gel, and B, the sort of restorative nature of the nap. And off she went. And I thought, oh, I bet that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
There might be
Tapping
worth.
into that British athletics funding knowledge there.
That is that where that comes from? Is that
Probably.
yeah, yeah, probably. But still, I thought that was quite good. Yeah. And another tip that someone once told me years and years ago, if you're looking for water, churches generally always have outside taps, because you
Ah.
water the flowers on the graves.
Ah, right. Oh, there you go. You see, so you can have a church nap and fill your bottles up
There you go. Yeah.
and then crack on, in
But then you've
theory.
got to work out where all the churches are on your route.
Yeah, well, as it gets nearer the time, I'll be putting some little social media feelers out from try and get some insider knowledge from people that have done it before to see what they
Well, I
do.
think I know it's the dreaded Facebook, but I think that's where the Spine Facebook group comes into its own. Is you've got to trawl through the chaff to get to the wheat, but there's certainly some nuggets in there. I think, there's so many people that have done it so often, and have those golden bits of information, good places to put your head down.
Yeah. Even today, Danielle, when I tweeted about the event that I'd done at the weekend, and one of the aid stations or one of the stops is at Dufton Village Hall.
Mm,
But that's just a monitoring station, so you've only got 30 minutes there. And Danielle had replied on Twitter today and said, "Oh, that's where I managed to get asleep before going over Crossfell." And then
mm,
she said, "Oh, just in the public toilets just before the village hall."
right.
So
Yeah.
she'd slept there because you've only got 30 minutes in the actual village hall itself. Get your sleep in, check in at the village hall, have a cup of tea, coffee, and then off up
Mm,
Crossfell then. So it's just little bits of stuff like that, isn't it, that you end up just if
yeah.
even if you don't end up sleeping there, you know that that's a possibility. You might get there and it might be middle of afternoon and you don't really need to sleep. You want to crack on, but at least you know these points just in case.
With so much to remember on such a long race, are you going to sort of type out notes to laminate it all? I wouldn't trust myself to,
Yeah.
to to keep it all in.
And I think I have seen people do that, and each aid station they pick up like a little laminated card of how far it is to like the next place that they might be able to sleep, or the next place, the next checkpoint, and what they should eat. And they do have little. And when I was working at Hawes in January, they had little cards like for the next section. So and printouts of what to do at the aid station as well. So like charge your head torch, charge your watch, change your shoes, even just absolutely
Okay.
everything on a tick list so that you could remember what you were doing once you got there.
Everything a crew would do, but you're not allowed that.
But you're not allowed it, yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? In any other race, that's what your crew would say to you. Right, I'll fill your bottles. I'll do this.
Mm.
Eat some it.
God.
But
Yeah. I'm getting less FOMO as we talk, actually. But yeah, next year I'll definitely get back on the safety team. So I think watching it from the other side is just as interesting as well. I've really enjoyed that, and I've actually never had much FOMO on the winter spine. Really, yeah, the people I've seen and talked to, whether they've been, all there or not, and there's been a lot of both, but I've looked at them and just thought, no,
Yeah, not for me.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I like my bed too much. Yeah,
Prefer
that's
to
fun.
run in the cold than the hot? I suppose you've done both summer and now you're doing winter. Are you not bothered?
I much prefer the bad weather
Right.
than the summer one. I think I was the only person that was happy that it was chucking it down during summer spine. Everyone else were whinging about it, but because I live so close to it, I'm just most of the time I'm running in bad weather. So yeah, I quite prefer that. I think if you've got the right kit on, you're fine, aren't you?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and that's, again, that's the important thing, isn't it? It's if you've got the right kit, it just takes away a whole list of problems, if you like.
Yeah.
If you're warm and comfortable, regardless, then you can concentrate on other things that you know, you're challenged with.
Yeah, like remembering to eat and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
because if you're cold and wet, everything else just goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're just miserable.
Yeah.
Robin, would you think of doing the arc?
Well, the arc,
Yeah, would that one be on your radar for your first 100?
it is. It's I think the mouse almost clicked on enter, like about a week ago. So yeah,
Oh,
you're
That's a
definitely in my
beast
head
as
there.
well.
It is, yeah. I really like the sound. I've run on sort of Pembrokeshire coastal paths quite a lot. I don't know how they differ from Cornish ones, but yeah, it definitely does appeal. I do like the sound of it. I wish it was just a bit further into next year. I don't know.
mm.
Maybe the year after. I don't know whether I can swing another 100 miler through my family at the moment. I'm already pushing it as it is with an 18-month-old.
Yeah, that's funny. But that is, I mean, that's a beast. There's no doubt about it. Like again, that was on my list for years until I think was it a few years ago, Mel, when Spence first did it, and
Yeah,
the weather was horrendous. Well,
yeah,
I mean, obviously it's January and it's England, but I mean, it was just incredibly wet and incredibly muddy. And I think it's not so much the hills, or the coastline going up and down. It's not the elevation that's the hard bit. It's almost the terrain, isn't it? And I remember again seeing lots of people falling like flies, and mainly being timed out simply because it was such a slog to go through the
yeah.
muddy bits and that just put me right off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't do mud, not anymore.
All right. I watched a YouTube video of Sarah Place doing the Arc of Attrition, and there was at one point where she just didn't think she'd make it, and she had to do I think it was 6 miles in 3 hours or something like that, and they weren't sure whether she would do it or not.
Oh gosh.
It's yeah,
That's horrific.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
that's not running, is
really, it grinds it out of you apparently. But yeah, I want to do it anyway. So
it?
We
Oh,
have got some good 100-mile races in this country now, though, haven't we?
yeah,
There's a good selection to choose from, really.
yeah, that's why I can't decide.
Yeah.
I'm almost hoping that I don't get into UTMB so I can have the fun of choosing a different one. Like I feel like I'm a bit forced down this path now because I've got my running stones from UTS. Like I'm just like a part of the system, but I also want to see it through. So
when do you find out? I'm hopeless on the draw.
it's between December and January, sort of mid-January, I think. You find out, sort of around the 16th ish.
So you could enter the arc and then just defer or,
Yeah,
pull out if you get a place at UTMB.
I should look at the rules, shouldn't I? I knew I shouldn't have agreed to this podcast.
I think we're building a good list for you, Robin.
Yeah, so
Oh, what else is up on your calendar this year, Mel, then? I mean, is it all going to be about preparation for January or
Yeah, I'm in for the lap again in September. But
are you
I
going to
just
write
love that
about it
one.
you're gonna write about it?
Well, do you know what? I've started writing about it a few times. I just can't bloody finish it.
Yeah.
I can't sit still for long enough to get to the end of a write-up. But yes, I will. I will this year. I will write about it for you. Yeah. So that's mid-September, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
And then no, nothing else on then. I think just some long hikes and getting ready for the winter one. There'll be a couple of local little fell races going into December that I can just potter about with the kit on, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, nothing else. Lakeland, the lap, and then
You should come up and do Tour de Helvellyn just before Christmas. That's a really great event. It's a very, again, what it's like, you know what Joe's events are like. It's very similar to Pennine 39, but it's a lot of people do use it as like final kit check. They carry all the full spine kit just to, a last run out to make sure everything's working.
oh right, what date's that one?
So that's normally the last Saturday before Christmas.
Oh right, I'll have a look at that. Yeah.
We tend to market it as it's your the way to get out of going last minute Christmas shopping.
Spend a day out on the hills in the
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
weather.
yeah. And it's always it's great. It's great. Um, Great food at the end, great camaraderie, and you just potter around. And it's nice in a way because if you are training for the spine, and I did it a few years ago when I was supposed to be doing spine before it got cancelled with the second lockdown, but you're carrying such a heavy pack that there's no expectation for when you're going to finish. It is literally just a dry run.
Slogging it out.
Yeah, so it just turns into a social event.
Oh, all right, I'll have a look
Yeah.
at that one.
Yeah, I think it might be the same weekend as the More's the Merrier, because I think that's
Uh,
um
Great name.
yeah. Yeah, I never got around to doing that one either.
you should do that this year, unless it clashes with the Tour de Helvellyn,
Yeah, I don't
because
know.
that's a good one. I think a few people did that. I volunteered at that last year,
Mm.
um, and quite a few people were doing that with spine kit on as well at the More the Merrier.
They're a
Yeah.
week apart.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
He's got me straight in there having a
Yeah,
look.
can do both. It's decided.
Wow. I mean, I think I honestly don't think I'm gonna be running again, to be honest. Not properly. Um so
Sad.
yeah. So I think, to be honest, being in the mountains for me is more important than the speed I do it at. And if
Yeah,
not running allows me to still hike and do mountain leader stuff, and the Via Ferratering, which I did recently, which was just amazing. If by not running that sort of stops my knee from flaring up and allows me to do that, then I'll take it.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. But we'll see. You never know. If I actually just stop running and stop trying to flog the dead horse, it might all settle down.
And there is a lot of events that you can do it as a hike as well. A lot of the LDWA events, they have some really long distance events that are just for hiking.
Yeah,
I know the one that I helped out at in June called the Stanza Stones, the one from Marsden to Ilkley. That's
yeah.
a 50 miler. They have an early start for walkers. So there's still a lot of
Mhm.
events that you can take part in and do it as a hike or as a
Well,
walker. Even Joe's at the weekend, they had an early
yeah.
start
Mm.
for walkers doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. And I'm sweeping Grand Tour Skiddaw again this year. But I did say to Nikki, I'm not running, but I can hike it. So, yeah, there's, I'll I'm still got my fingers in the pot, so it's not like I'm saying goodbye. I enjoy supporting events just as much, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think just being around him. I've just emailed actually today, Nikki, to see whether she needs any more volunteers for that. So I might see you up there
Oh, cool. Yeah.
at Skiddaw.
Yeah, that would be good. Have you heard of or done that one, Robin?
No, I've not done that one, no.
It's a lovely route, actually. It's a lovely event.
Yeah, I've heard really good things. There's honestly, you could ask me pretty much any race, and I've not done it because I'm still quite young in a.
Oh, I know we've got this lovely newbie amongst us. It's nice. It's nice though, because I remember that enthusiasm and that energy. It's good. It's nice to see. Definitely, you've got so many exciting. Yeah, you've got so much choice. We're very lucky.
Yeah, I get overexcited. I was listening to that Sophie Power podcast that you did, and just her talking about a 24-hour race. I was like, I want to do a 24-hour race. I wonder how quick I have to go. Let's look up what the pace per kilometer is.
Oh God, yeah. But
Yeah,
could you do that? I mean, again, that's a challenge. Again, there's no way in a million years I'd even consider going around a track for 24 hours. I would shoot myself.
it really appeals actually.
Does it?
There's a park near my in-laws it's 500 meters all the way around, and I've done 20 miles around it before, just
Oh gosh.
out of interest.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, it did look pretty crazy on Strava, and I don't think anyone was at all impressed. They just thought it was mad.
Really? I think that's massively impressive. Where do you go in your head when you do that?
I like looking at my pace. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have even considered it, but in the park they've got this little sign that says to do 5K, do 11 laps. To do 10K, do this thing. It's like, I'm gonna do 20 miles. I wonder how many laps that is. Yeah.
Wow. Could you do that, Mel?
No, not with laps.
No.
Yeah.
I tell you what I am interested in. Well, maybe is a backyard. The concept of having that set distance and that set time and the gap, whatever that gap is between finishing and what you've got left and starting on the hour every hour. I'm intrigued by that. I don't know why that interests me more when ultimately it's still laps, never-ending laps, unending.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But that as a challenge sort of does intrigue me.
Yeah, whether to run faster so you get more of a rest, or whether to run a bit steadier but try and keep it as a constant effort, and then you don't get any sit down time between.
Have a short drink and a snack.
But the truly elite people, I don't know how they manage to get the sleep in. It must just be like 5 max, maybe 10 minutes, and then you can have crew there, can't you, to wake you up. At least you've got that to scramble to the start line.
But then your natural pace has to be quick enough to allow you to get back and have that 10-minute power nap.
Yeah, Sarah Perry got the record, didn't she? That was amazing.
What did she do? Did she
Oh,
really? I didn't see that.
yeah, she did.
What at the?
I can't remember. She was against some guy. Oh, I can't remember. She didn't win. It was her and one guy just doing lap after lap after lap.
Oh gosh.
Finally conceded.
Was that at the Suffolk backyard?
No, it was a different one, but the loads of records went down at the Suffolk one recently.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I'm definitely tempted by a backyard at some point, but we'll see whether it comes to fruition or not.
I think we need to start a new thing. We're sort of following the adventures of Robin.
Yes.
Hey, well, that'll give me more excuse to actually get away with doing it all. So the bigger deal we make out of it, the better.
Okay. Okay. I'm with that. I'm with that.
I've got
Yeah,
a
because then you can say I've got to do it because.
Yes.
fan base demands it.
Fan Opera are following me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna finish us there because we've been chatting for ages. It's been really great, actually. Thank you. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've all got evenings to go off and enjoy and relax in. Yeah, good luck, Mel, for the lap and obviously ultimately the full spine, the full winter, full fat spine
Full fat.
full
Yeah.
fat version.
That's fine.
None of the semi-skimmed stuff. And you too, Robin. I hope you get into UTMB, and yeah, we'll
If not, let us know
Yes.
which one you're doing.
Yeah. We'll
will
definitely
do.
stay in touch.
All right,
Yeah.
nice.
Brilliant. Take care,
Right.
guys.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
See
Cheers.
ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.